Buenas, mis amigos. Buenos dias. It is me, Naji Greg, and my boy Alex. It was a very interesting week of football. A lot of surprises this week. We got to check our 1 year pool. I don't think I did too great this week. Did you check yours?
Yeah, I think I did worse than you. So I think we both
Uh,
did pretty bad though. So
who was on top?
I think
Oh,
I think you beat me by like one game. I think, but it was
was-
both rough. So
yeah, definitely a rough week and some big surprises. So today's topic, we will be discussing what was a bigger surprise, the dominance, and I do mean dominance, of Alex's Ravens, or the shortcomings of the 49ers for a second straight week. Alex, which one was more surprising to you?
well, you would think as a Ravens fan, I'd probably say the Ravens blowing out the Lions. That didn't catch me as much of as a surprise as the 49ers struggling so much. And here's my reasoning why, right? I watched the Ravens. It brings me back to like 2 years ago. We played the LA Chargers when they were up and coming, kind of like the Lions are this year. And we were at home. I believe it was an October game, and we blew them out too. And just like the Lions, the Chargers, have a lot of young talent coming up. Uh, they're well on their way to the playoffs. But blowing them out didn't surprise me because the Ravens are capable of doing that week in and week out. Not saying they can or they will or they should, but they're capable of it. And when Lamar is clicking like he did on Sunday, and that defense has been as stout as ever, that doesn't really surprise me because it's more surprising that they don't do it more. We played down to our competition a lot, like the Steelers and Colts games, with both losing. Those games shouldn't have been losses. And then even last week against the Titans in London, we ended up settling for like 5 field goals or 6 field goals, I think. And it's just a little frustrating to see that they don't do that more. Now, credit to the Lions, great team. I think they just got outmatched a little bit. I know I'm going to sound so biased when I say that, but I think they got outmatched. The Lions they didn't sack Lamar one time. I know Lamar's elusive, but the offensive line held up really well. Lamar had plenty of time, and at the end of the day, I think the Ravens are a better team than the Lions, but the Lions have a really bright future. So that being said, the 49ers dropping a second straight game, that shocks me because I know they're missing Debo. I know they're missing Trent Williams and some other pieces, but I think Brock Purdy's starting to show his true colors because the 49ers are capable of going, I don't want to say not undefeated, but they can easily win 13, 14, 15 games in a year. And Brock Purdy had him in position last week against the Browns. Missed field goal ended up costing them that game, but he struggled mightily against that Browns defense. Now, credit to the Browns defense; they're one of the tops in the league, if not the best. Debatable with my Ravens, of course. But and then come to play the Vikings, and we know the Vikings do not have that great of a defense. And Brock Purdy was just struggling, and he still has weapons. He has Ayuk, he has Kittle. McCaffrey was playing and scored twice. It's starting to become a problem with the 49ers lacking that elite quarterback. They thought they had it with Jimmy Garoppolo, and now that they thought they found something with Brock Purdy, and I'm sure Brock Purdy's good, but he's a game manager. He's not an elite quarterback, and I don't think he will be. I'm sure he can develop to be one. But Kyle Shanahan is a great offensive play caller as their head coach. Their defense is stout for the most part. They struggle with Jordan Addison, of course, but 49ers should not be losing the game to the Vikings, who have struggled pretty much all year long. So that's more surprising to me because 49ers are capable a lot more. And I think there's lacking that elite quarterback.
I want to touch up on the Ravens situation. You said something that y'all play down to the level of y'all competition, and I agree. I actually agree. I think you guys should. I guess you could say on paper, but in actuality, y'all way better than y'all play most of the times. And am I surprised by your dominant play? No. I don't expect Lamar to throw over 350 yards every game. Um, that still was, especially on the defense that I thought has gotten better. Um, but nonetheless, I expect you guys to put up 38 points. I don't expect the Lions to put up 6. I know David Montgomery was out. And it's not an excuse. You still got Jahmyr Gibbs, who I feel like is just as good, if not better, more elusive, can get more yards than David Montgomery. Amon St. Brown had a great game. Sam Laporta, Josh Reynolds. Right, they got an offense. They got offensive line. They got talent. I was surprised by the score for sure, but not by y'all dominating per se. Like, I've been high on the Ravens. Thought they could do great things. And it just goes to show that it's not a fluke. And this is how they should play every week, no matter who they're playing, you know. But with that being said, I also went with the 49ers. To me, it just seemed odd that, I mean, it's no Justin Jefferson. You wouldn't expect Jordan Addison to come into the game and get down like that. Jordan Addison straight up dominated. And the Vikings defense, to me, played good enough to get the job done. They actually had some pretty great plays. I mean, in my opinion, it's how the defense should play every week, because I never thought they had a terrible defense, a little above average, nothing stellar, but they got the job done. Kirk Cousins, 378 yards, 2 touchdowns, right? That's amazing. This is the Kirk that we expected last week and didn't get, and then he came in this week and said, "Hey, you don't need to trade me. This is what I can do every week. Watch me. Let me show you." And a big boost of that is from Jordan Addison, right? Because he would take something short and take it long, right? I mean, because Ward was on him. I remember Ward grabbing an interception from him, right? And then Jordan Addison came back and said, "Nah, I'm here. I'm here to stay. I'm just as good as some of the best receivers in this league." And he's had some pretty good games like this all season, but this has been the best by far. Don't really have much of a run game, of course. I mean, it's going to be like that. Alexander Madison is not it, especially after you give up Dalvin Cook. But it was the bigger shock to me because you dropped second straight. You're the 49ers. You're supposed to be competing for the Larry O'Brien. You're supposed to be competing with the guys like the Eagles, the Chiefs, the Cowboys per se, right? I just watched Jalen Hurts and the Eagles beat up on what is the best offense in the league, and you can do that on a subpar offense, and it does come into question. Yeah, you missing Debo. It's not an excuse, in my opinion, because you love Brandon Ayuk, you got Kittle, you got Christian McCaffrey, who's the best running back in the league. It is opinionated, of course, but it's just no excuse for you to lose to a Jefferson list team with no run game and a subpar defense. You're supposed to be the standard in the NFC, and they're looking very mediocre right now. And even last week, yeah, you missed a field goal, and you blame Brock Purdy. I think Brock Purdy played good until the end of that game where he threw up 2 picks, and they were bad picks. Like, he threw them right. He gave them a high percentage of picking that ball up. And I saw a couple of other plays where he got lucky that they weren't picked. So I don't think Brock Purdy by any means is that franchise QB. Like, when you label some, but I think it's a lot of guys who are not that franchise QB. It's not a lot of Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, and some say Tua, right? It's not a lot of those in the league, but he does, to me, fit that tier 2 to get the job done. And maybe it's just one of those nights where he didn't get the job done, but it was very surprising to me nonetheless. And probably the biggest surprise of this week overall was their less than stellar performance.
Yeah, and I think credit to Kirk Cousins. He's been balling this year, and without Justin Jefferson, he did his thing. Vikings look down and out to start the year, starting to come back up. Can't count them out yet. They could get that wild card and they could sneak in the playoffs. But 49ers might be in trouble. I think they play the Bengals this week and the Jaguars as well coming up. So it'll
I
be
think
tough.
you push the sneak into the playoffs. They won't be making the playoffs.
We'll see.
I mean,
Time will tell.
it's 4 teams in their division, right? You got the Lions, you got the Green Bay, you got the Vikings, you got the Bears. Vikings are the worst team in that division. So, they'll be sitting at the bottom of that division by the end of the year. So all I'm gonna say.
We'll see. We'll see. But
All right, but thank you guys for tuning in to this topic. Tune in next time. Till then, yeah.